Commence primary ignition.
Hey, this is Obi Tahi. I play Dr. Pershing, and you are watching the Virtual Cantina Network.
Yes.
Hi, everyone. Happy Monday.
Happy Monday, Rebels. Good to see you. Nice to be back.
I like seeing Dr. Pershing up there, too, because he's actually one of the first people who got to sign autographs for us for, actually the first person when I was at Topps for
Oh, wow.
The Mandalorian.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I knew his agent, and I still know his agent, and I completely forgot to do this is the kind of stupid stuff. I didn't do my ring light. Come on, guys, get it together.
You got
Okay.
this. Ta-da!
Yeah. Oh, it's so bright. It's too bright.
I
hate it.
know. I'm like,
There we
right
go.
here.
Okay, that's better. So the sleeveless is back because I'm trying to manifest summer because it is
Gun show.
aside from that, we're on the brink of a blizzard. And so I am wishing for summer because I can't anymore. I can't do this winter. I hate New York. Like I know you're in Boston. You said you're preparing for 8 to 10 inches.
Yeah, easily. And my bosses
yeah.
still haven't called off work yet. So I'm just like, thanks. I
Yeah.
bet you're staying home, though.
We have to call in or not call in, but check at 6 in the morning to see if our building will be open. There's no way. New York City public schools are already going to remote learning tomorrow. So I'm assuming I'll be working from home. I'm not getting in the car tomorrow under any circumstances. So that's what's going on in our part of the woods. How's everyone else doing out there? Everyone keeping up with the weather?
Yeah. Hi, John. Hi, Spencer. Yes, Spencer. I'm wearing this shirt, so it must be true. Mark got this shirt for me at Celebration London. I feel so bougie. It was my birthday gift. I love it. Thank you. So
No
I figured I'd
problem.
rock it today to kind of will it into existence.
It's
so
a
we
real
can see
show
it.
that's definitely going to happen, as I say all the time. So it's definitely going to happen.
Jude Law, make it
Although
so.
what did we see recently? I saw something recently where there was real footage. I feel like it's really. I joke about it. Obviously, it's going to happen. I think there's a question of timing. And right now, the next thing up is Bad Batch, which is one of the reasons we wanted to make sure we talked about Rex in our best of for Rebels. He ties into what's going on with Bad Batch, obviously. And just a reminder, we will have extensive wraparound coverage over here on the VCN. We're doing the Thursday night watch along for Bad Batch, which we didn't last time around, I believe, because it conflicted with Kenobi.
Yeah, we had a lot going
started
on.
and stopped. Things were on top of each other. So
I just read David's comment. Skeleton crew exists. Jaleel White swears it.
Yeah.
Hey, if Urkel's in, I'm in. Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
I'm assuming that he's going to be in a really funny role because he's a great comedic actor. So I hope they give us I would love for him to be a sort of nefarious pirate who does a lot of physical comedy, but maybe that's what's expected. I don't know. Maybe he's playing someone really serious.
Completely different. Yeah, I'm down with whatever. As long as he's a part of it, it'll be fun. Let's see. David says the weather is no joke. Oh no, Michelle is trapped in Jersey.
Yikes. Yeah, not a good place to be.
Sorry. Yeah, Jersey's bad on a regular basis.
One of my coworkers flew in from Chicago today and was supposed to fly back tomorrow and change her flight. So she's flying out tonight. She's like, I'm not even going to be here for this. I'm leaving before the snow starts. So we had to reschedule a bunch of meetings from in person to virtual for later in the week. And it's like she flew in for basically the equivalent of 18 hours. I felt terrible. I was like, what a waste of a trip, but not her fault. The blizzard just, unexpected too, because as of yesterday, it was supposed to be a dusting, and now it's a whole on new nor'easter or something.
Yeah, so we're looking at 50-mile-an-hour winds. We're looking at 8 5 to 10 inches of snow. I would rather play it safe than sorry, especially
Yeah, of
because
course.
I work at a cafe. It's totally non-essential.
No.
Regardless of how many people have tried Chippy and they want it. Yeah, no, it's
Yeah. There's
Spencer.
literally nothing essential about it.
Yeah.
So,
Uh,
and even with me, I could do most of my work remotely, which is good. Um,
yeah.
but yeah, other than the impending blizzard, the rest of the weekend was good. I thought the
Good.
Super Bowl was really fun. I'm assuming you watched.
Hell yeah. Oh my God. So
Hmm.
I've never been more conflicted in my life because honestly, I love the 49ers. They had a great team
Hmm.
this year. But
They seem like
okay.
the favorites to actually win based on stats
Yeah.
and performance
They,
throughout the
they were
year, and
very
you
close.
know,
Very, very close as
yeah,
far as statistics go.
yeah.
Go sports ball. Yeah, Jeff. Um, basically, the thing I was most concerned about, and this is like as a female, the thought I have for like, girls watching out for girls is the amount of, you know, crap that Taylor Swift would get
Yep.
from haters and from the media if Travis Kelce was distracted by
Hmm.
were getting there from Japan and they lost the Super Bowl. I'm like, please don't have this go wrong for them. Like I was just so concerned about that. So and
Yeah.
my boyfriend is a huge 49ers fan, so I felt really bad that, his
Hmm.
boy lost. But
And
um,
that head coach guy from the 49ers hasn't won a Super Bowl yet,
yeah.
even though he
But
seems
he's
very deserving.
very
Um,
deserving. Harbaugh's good.
yeah, I've heard great things about their organization too. You know how like you only hear really good things or really terrible things,
Yeah.
and usually the really terrible is typically what's coming out of the NHL, not to or the NFL, not
Yeah.
to over categorize and over generalize, but never usually like great awesome stories, right? It's always
Yeah.
like convictions and problems
Cheating
and
scandals.
CTE and whatever else, right? But
Yeah.
like the 49ers seem like squeaky clean and like pretty decent. And yeah, I felt the exact same conflict because
Yeah.
throughout the first,
McCaffrey and uh
yeah,
the quarterback, they have long careers ahead of them. Those guys are good. Like
yeah,
the whole team is good.
yep.
So,
You know,
but
let's get them next year.
yeah,
With that in mind, I do think I was feeling the exact same way because for the past several months, I've seen nothing but the Taylor Swift effect, and I'm actually a Swiftie. So just for everyone who
same.
doesn't know, like I love her music.
Team
I have
Taylor.
all her albums. I've got most of her albums on vinyl, if not all of them at this point. Like I
How many
think when it comes.
copies of every battle?
Well, that's the thing, 1, like, I'm not one of those
Okay.
who has, like, every single iteration,
I'm not a
but, yeah, she's
completist.
also made,
Yeah.
girls pay attention to football, and there's, like, all this
Yeah.
dad and daughter bonding. What is Dave saying over here?
Dave
My
said,
daughter
but
was so into the
seriously.
game for the
Yeah.
first time. She was excited, and it became for her for more than Taylor. Yeah. Yeah, it
Yeah.
brings you in.
That's what
Um,
I love about this. That's another reason why I didn't want them to lose, is because the exposure has been so good for football and they needed it. Super Bowl ratings has been down the
they
last
needed some good press too for the
since
The
Prince.
NFL.
It's been
Yeah.
down.
Yeah.
So that needed to happen.
Mhm.
Jeff says McCaffrey has at least a
Yeah.
halfway good name.
He
Yeah, well, you might be a
McC
little biased.
McCaffrey is the really hot one, right? Like,
He's
yeah.
the wide receiver.
That doesn't help me.
Yeah, he's very good looking. Yeah.
White guy, short
Uh-huh.
brown hair, like
Uh-huh.
huge arms, like ridiculous arms for someone of like his overall size and
Yeah.
stature. Yeah.
Blue eyes. Yep.
Yeah, that's the one. Okay.
Yeah.
See, I don't know. I don't follow. So, but I have been paying attention to all things Taylor Swift because she is sort of ruling the world at the moment.
Love it.
Um, and yeah, agreed. And I like her. I know there are other
Positivity.
people who don't. And you can also separate like whether you like her music or whether you like her as a person or this and
Both.
that. Yeah, and I'm in the same camp too. I like her. I like her music. What I found surprising, and I shouldn't because I'm old enough to know better. There are a lot of people who just choose to dislike her for the you know.
Yes, Sherry.
Um,
Woo.
yeah, this is big right there.
That's what I
Taylor
love.
bringing in people, new fans of football. There were plenty of people though who had the exact opposite reaction, where it's like, "How dare you show this girl on my television? It's bothering my football." And I'm thinking, like, how like fragile do you need to be
Yeah.
for it to actually affect how you feel about football? And I was waiting for like the moment when they lose that they're going to talk about like how Taylor Swift like cost them the Super Bowl because they will
Yeah.
blame the girl, right? That's just how it goes. The woman caused the
Yep.
problem. Um,
Distraction, blah, 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 blah. The media
I was,
coverage was too much.
yeah,
Waiting for that to happen. And when
for
they
sure.
finally pulled it
Oh,
together,
it was all over on Twitter for the first 3 quarters, 4 quarters, even. I mean,
I stayed off of
but
social media for that
yeah,
reason.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God, the Lana Del Rey doing shots thing though really sent me. And Ice Spice. Look, there are so many great photos of this like Mad Libs collection of characters at this football game. The one of them like with their arms up like they're at like the Tower of
Hold
Terror
on.
though.
I got you.
Like, yeah, it's so good.
Splash Mountain.
Yeah, there it is. Yeah, and Tower of Terror was the other one I saw.
And then,
Um,
what else is it?
yeah.
Oh my God, this is funny.
Yep.
Where are
Sarah is
we?
correct. Football fans are very fragile.
Yeah.
And
Too bad.
yeah, John, I agree. She is a genuinely good person. When I heard about like how much money she made on the tour and then she paid out all those bonuses to the truck drivers and
Yeah.
like apparently handwritten notes that her dad delivered himself, like she's really like paying it back and she seems like her scandals are just that like her relationships ended, and she like didn't react and it didn't go well for the
Well,
people on the other side of it. Like
and
Jake
even like,
Gyllenhaal was a
yeah,
jerk. And
John
she was like,
Mayer.
guess what? Jake Gyllenhaal's a jerk. And no one knew that beforehand. And maybe he was only a jerk to her. But we all know now.
It's like a journal. Yeah, the best thing I think to come from this, it was completely like unexpected and hilarious. So they dropped the Deadpool and Wolverine trailer,
Mhm,
which um Hugh Jackman hilariously corrected as
mhm.
fixed it. Wolverine an asshole. Excuse
Yeah,
my language.
that was good.
That was really funny. So Ryan Reynolds put out a picture of him in front of the TV with the trailer playing, and it says, "Did everyone see the Wolverine and Deadpool trailer? Has anyone seen my wife?" Who Blake Lively? She was in the box with Taylor Swift at the Super Bowl, so
Mhm.
that was like a really cute little way to
Well,
get buzz for both. So that was
you
awesome.
know the rumor that to bring it all back to Taylor, that she
Always
might be in the Wolverine Deadpool movie as Dazzler, and that's
that
been a
would be
rumor that's been
awesome.
it's been running for a while. Here's the thing, I actually
Yeah,
don't believe that's going to be the case, but no one's squashing that rumor because it's just a fun rumor, and
yeah, and
like
it's
she,
I want that. I want that so bad. I love
yeah,
Dazzler.
I
So
I'm not attached to that character, but I also
she's
don't know if
fun
Taylor
though.
Swift is an actress. But that being said, like the fact that there's speculation for her to be in this movie with, by the way, the speculation of who's in this movie is out of control. This is
I love
among
it.
some of the worst rumors I've seen in a while now as to like who they're going to pull in. And I feel like no matter what this movie does, everyone's going to love it, but also everyone's going to be
Hi, Lori.
annoyed about like the thing that wasn't in there that they wanted, right? Like people are going to be genuinely annoyed that Taylor Swift's not in there, or they're going to
Yeah.
see her in there and be annoyed by that. Like there's no, it's a
Can
lose
you
lose.
imagine if she isn't it? The Swifties that are going to be at the showings of Deadpool and Wolverine. Like
Yeah,
honestly, it's
I
the
would put
Taylor
her in
Swift
there just for
community is
that
going to be
now.
amazing.
Like,
Yeah,
based on the Eras
definitely.
Tour movie, like the amount of money
By
that it
the
made,
way,
like just
was it
throw her
March
in.
17th on Disney Plus?
Disney Plus, the
Very
new home
excited.
of, and if you guys haven't seen, I swear we have other topics in Taylor Swift.
Do we?
The Taylor Swift concert that she did, not the concert, the live recording at her house during COVID for like Folklore and Evermore, like
I
she put
love
that up
that.
on Disney Plus
It
like
was awesome.
ages ago. That was amazing.
Yeah, and also I think on Prime, is it on Prime or Hulu? Where she has the documentary about herself.
Oh, the Miss Americana. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, is it Netflix? Maybe Netflix.
I
Yeah,
I
it's
can't remember.
Netflix.
I
It's
don't know
on
where
one of the
anything lives
streamings. You'll find
anymore.
it. The
Yeah.
Miss
Look,
Americana is on there.
there's like 4
Yes.
choices. Everything's in one of those like 4 or 5 places.
Sorry, I'm over here
Um,
struggling.
I
Okay.
don't know. I just searched the TV in total and it tells me where it is, but then oftentimes it'll tell you like where the monetized version of something is also. So I'm
Yeah.
like, all right, I don't want to buy this.
No, I
But
just
yeah,
want to watch
otherwise
it.
I thought the Super Bowl was a good game. I
Touche,
thought,
Sherry. I agree, but you know what? It'd be fun for the older Swifties. So,
oh,
like
for
us.
sure. Yeah, I mean, she's only a few years younger than I am. She's like in her mid 30s. Was she 34,
She's 34,
35?
so she's
Yeah,
6
something like
years
that.
younger than
I'm gonna
me.
pretend that that's the same age as me as I'm 43. But either way,
Totally
she
fine.
definitely has fans who are adults.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, I think outside of Taylor, who I think uh, had the right amount of coverage You know, they didn't overdo it, they didn't underdo it. I felt like at the actual
Love is
game.
love. It's great.
Yeah. Um, I
So
thought
sweet.
the ads this year were pretty good. They weren't great. There was nothing like
Okay.
astounding, but
The Dun Kings were
that was cute.
hilarious. As a
Yeah,
as a masshole, I totally appreciated the whole thing.
yeah. That was a good
Tom,
one.
you can stay.
Yeah,
It
well,
was
that
like
was funny. Look,
it was good.
I find all of those people, like literally every single person in that ad, exhausting in a very different way. Like,
Okay.
I like Matt Damon, but I'm not like lining up to watch the next Matt Damon movie.
Mhm.
I find Matt and Ben together to be like a lot. Just like I'm okay, and I don't really love Ben and Jennifer Lopez, but I don't dislike them. I think a lot of people like genuinely dislike some of those people. I just am not into any of them. But that ad was really funny. It was really well done. I don't know if it beats the first Dunkin' one where he's just working the drive-through. That one was
Yeah,
great.
that one was fun. It was the real world. Um, John says the Paramount Plus commercial was pretty funny. So it was with
Mhm.
Patrick Stewart and Hey Arnold
Yeah.
and like Drew Barrymore.
For some reason, Drew Barrymore's there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was all the Paramount brands. So, in fact, several of them are my licenses, including Sonic the Hedgehog. They have a new
Yeah. Oh,
Knuckles
Knuckles.
cartoon
Yeah.
that's coming out in April,
Exciting.
which is very cool. We have a new Knuckles costume coming out this Halloween too, of course.
Ooh.
So, we know what's up. So Knuckles was in there. Like Patrick Stewart's going to throw Hey Arnold like a football because he's shaped like a football. And then that doesn't work, and so he's looking for a big skin, and Peppa Pig pops up, looking very concerned. It's very silly,
Oh,
but it's
they
an
should have
equity
thrown
spot.
Peppa Pig. Oh.
Yeah, that I feel like they could get away with throwing Hey Arnold, but not Peppa. Um, but there was another equity spot that came out for streaming service. Disney Plus had their sort of, we'll call it a sizzle, but
Yes.
they didn't show anything new. And I felt like that was a miss on a few of the media companies. Like there were a couple of just like truly equity spots, but like they didn't call out specifically what was new with them.
Yeah.
Like even Paramount Plus, like what's new with Star Trek? Like why is Patrick Stewart front and center? And every brand in there is a nostalgia thing. The Knuckles show is new, but it didn't say that. Like it didn't have like a big burst at the end being like Knuckles April. Like, it's
Yeah.
the kind of thing where I felt like that was missing on all of them. Like the call to action and reason to subscribe was
Right.
just like not there for Disney Plus,
Yeah.
for Paramount Plus. There wasn't a Netflix commercial. Warner didn't advertise anything.
The Wicked trailer.
That was very good.
That is gonna be crazy.
Mhm.
And yeah, the FanDuel tribute to
Mm,
Carl Weathers. Oh my
yeah.
god.
That
Oh
was
my god.
unexpected that FanDuel was behind that.
Well,
It
he
was
did the
really well
commercial
done.
for them,
Yeah,
and then they just reworked it to add the tribute in. So that was
yeah,
really sweet and yeah, unexpected but awesome. So
yeah.
kudos to them.
I do
Yeah,
think
Wicked is gonna
Wicked.
be totally Wicked. Oh, I'm so
Yeah.
stoked. Cynthia
So
Erivo is like amazing, and well, Jeff Goldblum is a wizard. Like,
it's
come
good casting.
on.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
Michelle Yeoh as Madame Morrible, like,
you know what's so
love it.
crazy? Ariana Grande is like incredibly famous, right? And more famous than Cynthia Erivo, I would say,
Yeah,
just objectively.
yeah,
Cynthia Erivo is going to steal this movie. The Wicked is a story about the Wicked Witch more so than
yes.
Glenda, but it's a
And
story about
she's
both of them. But Cynthia will destroy this movie in the best possible way. Jeff Goldblum will also be there as Jeff Goldblum and will be
chewing
great. But he has,
scenery.
yeah, but the wizard has very little, even in the book where he has more scenes than in the musical. There's because I've read
Yeah,
the book.
Brandon.
Um, the wizard isn't like a big part of the story. Like it's a lot of Elphaba and slightly less of Glenda, and then it really drops off to like the wizard and all the other secondary characters. So
Yeah.
even though Michelle Yeoh's in it, who is awesome, she will
Mhm.
be in it for a little bit. And Jeff Goldblum will be in it for a little bit. Like it really hinges on can Cynthia Erivo deliver and can Ariana Grande keep up? And based on that trailer, yes and yes. And I think it's going
Yeah,
to be the surprise hit of the year. I think
yeah,
people think it's going to be like just women and gays going to see it, but I think it's going to be entire families, including a lot of children, all the
yeah.
Broadway buffs. Like it's going to be a whole thing. I
I'm
think it
so
has the
stoked.
potential to be the second or third highest grossing film of the year because it's
Yeah.
obviously going to be Wolverine, Deadpool is number one, Beetlejuice probably is number two, and then number three, Wicked. I don't see anything beating those movies.
That's gonna be good. Unless well, Dune Part 2.
Rated R, super weird. coming in IMAX, super expensive.
Also
Like,
describes me. Okay.
yeah, yeah, I mean, top 10 maybe. But I also think the first movie, because so many people watched it at home. I mean, maybe some of them want to see it on an IMAX screen.
Oh, I'm so stoked.
I'm
I was
hesitant about seeing.
pissed because when the first one came out, I wanted to see it so bad. It was in IMAX for like barely a week, and they pulled it for Geostorm.
Mm,
Geostorm,
mm,
come on,
yeah.
hated
Ooh,
it.
Sherry, I think you're right on about Moana. I think that could be a huge hit as well.
Oh
I don't
yeah,
know what
lots
else.
of little
Oh, and
kids, including Jamie's little, who love
yeah,
Moana.
and Inside Out 2, I forgot as well. If we were gonna do a ranking
That's
now,
really
Inside
cute
Out
too.
2 and Moana will probably make the top 5. Um,
Yeah,
I think what else?
uh, I saw the Secret Wars comic also in the Deadpool trailer, Spencer. So you get
Oh,
Pyro and the Secret Wars trailer. It was really
uh
good to have him back after all those years. So
yeah.
that'd be cool.
I didn't recognize him at first. I had to watch a wraparound content video to get the Easter eggs and stuff. I didn't
Yeah.
realize they were fighting in front of a broken down sign of like the fox. Um,
Yeah.
like, yeah, I didn't realize that's what
I
that was.
really okay,
So,
so I saw like sneak footage of that and I really thought it was fake, like something that AI was thrown together, but I
mhm,
guess not. So that's wild.
yeah. Brandon's asking what we think about Twisters.
No.
I don't know who asked for that sequel.
Glenn
Um,
Campbell or Glenn something. I can't remember his last name. The guy who's in
Glenn Powell.
Glenn
Yeah, from
Powell.
Top Gun.
So once
Yeah,
again, Glenn Powell is in something. He's having a year and a half or
yeah.
couple
Is he
years.
is he the new Chris Pratt? Is it already turned that quickly?
It has for me because it's just
He's in everything.
yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's weird.
I also every time I see him, I'm thinking, why couldn't we
Yeah.
have had radar? Super weird. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I
I
agreed. We
just
should
made a
make a
shirt.
shirt out of
You're
that.
welcome.
Um,
Put that in
why,
our
like
mesh.
every time I see
Yeah.
Glenn Howell, I think, why couldn't we have had Wyatt Russell?
Yeah.
That would be my swap. You know?
Oh, yeah, and the Katie O'Brien movie that's coming out. I forget what it's
Oh
called, but
yeah,
I
with
know it's the
Kristen
bodybuilders.
Stewart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's really cool. Very excited about that. Oh, Anthony Ramos. I love him. He's fantastic
Mhm,
in the Heights. Um I buy that shirt.
yeah. Look,
Yeah.
I'm not saying I
It's for
have
all
anything.
those weird kids. I appreciate it.
I I have nothing bad to say about Glenn Howard. Or that's Glenn Powell. Glenn Howard's a different person. I like him too. Glenn
Maybe
Powell.
it's because, like,
I
Bagman
he's
kind
just
of
a
was, like,
little.
annoying to me in Maverick. I don't know. That's I can't when
Eh,
I see someone in the introductory role like that, I just kind of, like it takes a lot
no,
to get them out of that space in my head, so
he's just a little overexposed at the moment, and that's what happens, right? You become famous and then everyone wants you, and then sometimes you'll have a year where like 2 or 3 movies all hit in quick succession, and especially if it's not your cup of tea. Like he just did like a really terrible looking rom-com that was apparently a giant hit, and that's just not for me. But like there are other people who are into it, and then there's
yeah, like all the
someone like,
Euphoria fans for Sydney
yeah,
Sweeney and stuff.
so
Yeah.
look, he's got a market, and he's very good. I have nothing bad to say about
And
him.
he's
All I'm
alright
saying is I
looking.
think he's in a lot right now. And so will he become overexposed, and then at some point you have to pull back. But I also got to say, if I were in this industry and someone offered me a role, how often can you turn them down? Like that's the other question. Until you
Yeah.
reach a level of
Make your
fame
money.
where,
Make
yeah,
your
like
money.
as you're a working actor in the beginning of your career, I don't think you can afford to be choiceful until you become so wealthy that you have everything you need like you could go without work. And I don't know how many people could go without work, especially in the new economy that has been created in movies. I mean, that's why we had a strike however many months ago.
Yeah.
Like I bet you Glenn Howard,
Powell.
Glenn Powell, um, is still
Yeah.
climbing to millionaire status.
Yeah.
Spencer, I think you're right that they're setting him up to be like the next Ryan Gosling, who was also in a lot of things all at once at one point. He was no one, and then he was everywhere. Like it happened really fast for him, and
Yeah.
then he pulled back a little bit, and he does one project a year now, is what it seems, and they're usually very good. Loved him in Barbie. Um,
I still
you
have
know,
to see it. Yes, exactly. Exactly,
yeah,
John. Exactly.
yeah,
You
yeah,
get
yeah,
this.
exactly. I'm with you on that. Um, yeah. So what else happened in the pop culture this weekend? I feel like the Super Bowl was the big thing, and we got a lot of
The
trailers,
superb
obviously.
owl.
Yeah.
Yes.
The big trailers, I think Deadpool obviously is the one that's most relevant for our fandom. Wicked is a close second.
Wicked. Yeah.
Outside of that, there wasn't a ton of news. There's usually more, and I think the ads are I don't want to say less impactful. I don't know if the ads were ever impactful. I think it was always like a novelty, and companies always had money to do it, and it would be okay to like make a splash at a Super Bowl
Oh,
and say
yeah,
what you
that's
were
right,
doing.
Spencer.
Um,
25th anniversary of Phantom Menace.
oh yeah, that's true.
It's a
They
big
announced
deal.
the poster. Okay, I have a couple
Matt
thoughts.
Ferguson art.
Did everyone notice last week the Empire covers were obviously Hayden on the cover for both, even
Yeah,
though
Paul Shipper did the art for
yeah,
that. So,
but we're celebrating the 25th anniversary of episode 1. I understand that we are celebrating the 25th anniversary of the prequels, and I get it. We need to celebrate that whole time period. And Jake Lloyd's not really around to do interviews or anything like that. But I thought it was a little curious that there wasn't even like an inset photo of like the old looking, like young Anakin, right? It's just Hayden and then another dark side Hayden. And it wasn't like light side Hayden and dark side Vader. It was Hayden. So Anakin, but without Jake Lloyd. I was like, oh, this feels weird. And then I haven't seen the inside of the magazine. Maybe there's something about Jake Lloyd.
I
Like,
have to say though that the photography for that issue is stunning. Like the photograph of Hayden and the shadow
mhm.
looks like Vader.
Yeah. Oh, it's gorgeous. Yeah.
Beautiful.
And look, Hayden's who they're interviewing, along with you and along with Natalie. I'm assuming it's a new interview with Natalie.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm like, where there the Anakin erasure was bothering me. And I didn't say anything about it because I was like,
Um,
I understand that they're talking to Hayden and they're celebrating all the prequels, and Jake is not in any condition to talk to anyone. I get that.
yeah,
But
I
then
think he just
there's a
might not want to do it because
no,
of the
it's
mental health
but here's the thing,
status.
you can still put a picture of him on the cover, and you could still
That
put a
is
picture
true.
of Jar Jar. So there's like things missing
Yeah, but uh,
from
don't you have to if okay, because it's art and it's photos and you're using it to sell something, you kinda don't you have to get licensing permission for that from
use
the
existing imagery.
but
Like,
don't you yeah, but don't you have to get permission from the actor and the actor's people to use that?
I'm not sure, but then there better be something inside with
Yeah.
using existing photography where meanwhile there should be something on Ahmed Best in there. So um,
Hi.
then cut to the poster drops. Did anyone else notice who was missing from the poster? Can
Jar
we be
Jar.
not just Jar Jar, little Anakin? The shadow is this big. Like they zoomed out as far away as possible
Yeah,
from Jake Lloyd and gave us a
that's
very
cringe.
a very big Darth Maul, and then Qui-Gon and young Obi-Wan, right? But
Mhm.
like I can't even see Anakin Skywalker, the kid who's gonna bring balance to the Force. So I was
Which
like,
is
okay, now
great.
this feels intentional. And now I'm wondering what the deal is. So I have a lot of thoughts. I have a lot of thoughts. I have
Oh,
a lot of questions.
yeah.
So the erasure of Jake Lloyd and young Anakin feels wrong to me, but I also understand that like Jake can't participate. So how do you work around it? I just feel like there needs to be a way to honor him and honestly like confront the issue, right? Like
Yeah.
the fans were toxic when it came to him, and the reason he's in the situation he's in is because of like the Star Wars fans from 25 years ago. So how do you just pretend that didn't happen?
And that's where I as much hate as like the sequel trilogy gets, I don't. I'm so sick and tired of the fandom turning on people like that. There's
Mhm.
no freaking reason. These are just actors. These are human beings. And if your fragility is that severe, where you have to attack people because it's not living up to your headcanon, you need to go to church or go to
Yeah.
therapy or do something with your life. And it's infuriating because I feel like Ahmed Best is taking a step back on things. Jake Lloyd
Yep.
is obviously out of the spotlight. Um, Kelly Marie Tran got a lot of hate. John Boyega, Daisy
Mhm.
Ridley. Like, how many people do you have to chase off social media because it's not how you want things? Like, I don't know. It's infuriating. Oh, so I'm
Yeah.
just gonna step
Yeah,
off my
it's
soapbox
been
now. But
no, you're 100% right on all these things. It's been, and it's why we try to keep things light and inviting over here.
yes,
I think as
we
much
know
as we
what's up.
will address negativity or talk about things we don't like, we don't, we're never going to have a video on here, the worst of anything, or why we
Nope.
hate this, or you shouldn't do that. Like our fandom here at Virtual Cantina is not about that. And it's one
Right.
of the main reasons why I became involved in this channel. As you know, being a
Absolutely.
licensee for years, I'm friends with a lot of different fan site owners, and they're the ones that I'm friends with are the good guys. But there are a lot of people out there who just hate click into the money, and that is not our gig over here. And it's why we have good
Nope.
enforcement, I think, on the rules and the Facebook page too. Those admins run a tight ship. They don't usually need to, which is good because no one's really acting out. Like it's a good group over here. So
Right.
yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's why we like being here.
Yeah.
And it's why we
Thanks,
get so
Lonnie.
easily caught up too in just the chat and the conversation. Um, yeah, exactly. This is why to
Oh,
be part of
sorry,
our group.
Spencer. And Temple too. If you
Mhm.
need it. Okay.
Well,
Positive
I'm
Vibes
realize
Network. Yep.
I like
That's
that. Yeah. We try to be. We certainly try to be. Even when we don't like something, I think the
yep.
conversation
Taylor
becomes
and
like
football.
we don't like it for
Kanan?
this particular structural reason or story element, or not just like everyone on there is terrible and they should die. Like that's a
Yeah.
very
That's
different kind of
horrible.
thing. Yeah.
That's horrible. But
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. Well, my thing is like if I don't like something, I usually don't talk about it. And if you like it, have at it. If I don't like it,
Or you do, but you're respectful about it. Like you
yeah.
explain that you don't like it for the reasons that you don't like it, not
Mhm.
because they suck. Like
Yeah,
there's a
and it's not that
definitive
someone else
reason.
is wrong,
Yeah.
because the reasons I might not like something might have something to do with story, but if you really like the actor involved, like, or some other component of the
Yeah.
story, then it works for you. I know so many people who don't like Rebels, and they're like, the animation style is something I can't get around. So
Yeah.
regardless of the story, or
Mhm.
they don't like Ezra, right? He's like super annoying, especially in season 1. I get that. If you can't get over that hurdle, like, I'm not gonna sit here and try to like, believe me, I'll try to get you to talk about Rebels, but I'm not about to, you know, drag you and force you.
Spencer, Freddie was
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
Just saying, Freddie was right.
yeah, exactly. Well, let's tilt into our actual topic now. I feel like our show is becoming structurally the first half of the episode we talk about like the pop culture of the week, because we
Yeah.
also have the benefit of coming off the weekend. So
Yeah.
usually it's like what happened in the past week, and then we get into our
Or talk about
structure
cons or
like
whatever.
yeah,
Yeah.
cons that we're going to,
Yeah.
or we do our watch along because it hits the half an hour mark pretty easily. But I do think
Yeah.
we can actually talk about Rex pretty easily in a half an hour, especially
Yeah.
because in Rebels, he's such a supporting character. He's
Yeah.
not the lead the way he was in Clone Wars, which is really different.
Yeah, and I watched Rebels as I said in the past. I've watched Rebels before I watched Clone Wars, like long before I watched Clone Wars. And I didn't get to see Rex in all his, Rexy glory,
Hmm.
um, running around with Anakin and Ahsoka and Obi-Wan and stuff. But I still really liked him as a character. I was like, oh, he's
Hmm.
cool. They um can totally like the little bit of tension between him and Kanan is
Hmm.
completely palpable because you know the Clone Wars, you've seen the movies at that point. Um, but yes, thank you, Lonnie. Yes, Sarah, exactly. So I was watching that episode where they finally went and got Rex and they
Hmm.
said CT7567 and I was like my friend just started bawling cuz she's a huge Clone Wars fan and I was like what? She goes, "You don't know who that is?" I said, "No." She's like, "You didn't watch Clone Wars before you watched this?" I said, "No." I like it's just a lot. It spanned several years. It was before I was like really actively watching it. And she's like, "That's Rex." And I'm like,
And you're
"Okay."
like, who? Yeah.
But
Is that a person who existed? Yeah.
yeah. So, but at the same time, like getting to know him and getting him the kind of um strained relationship and then blossom into respect and friendship that he has with
Hmm.
Kanan. It's one of my favorite things in Star Wars because it's like, yeah, um, these are people that used to work together and you know protected the galaxy together and went on all these missions and they became enemies because the emperor turned them against each other, literally turned them against each other,
Hmm.
and it's so cool to see that growth. It's one of my favorite things in Rebels, so I'm so glad we get to talk about it this week.
There's so the episodes you're referencing, it's season 2, episodes 3 and 4, The Lost Commanders and
Mhm.
Relics of the Old Republic. It's right after Siege of Lothal. So basically it's the next sort of mini arc in season 2, after the aftermath of like Fire Across the Galaxy and the reveal of Ahsoka.
Yeah.
This is the Ghost Crew being told by Ahsoka that there might be help out there in the form of Captain Rex. And it's actually Wolf and Gregor. So the three of them um, are on this like abandoned
Gregor.
planet. Yeah. And And I gotta say, I was nervous because season one of Rebels, one of the things that as much as season one is probably not the best season, the thing that works about Rebels is that it's really its own thing. Like,
Mhm.
it's not a continuation of the prequels or the Clone Wars, and it's not a prologue to A New Hope. Like,
Right.
season one of Rebels feels very contained. It's set on Lothal. It's a new environment. We have all new characters, and you'll have the random almost cameo from like people we know. We saw C3PO and R2 for a hot second. Bail Organa pops in. I call him Chekhov's gun because we know we're gonna see him again, but like he pops in for a minute. Yoda pops in the temple for like a
Yeah.
minute. Like, so you're in the world, but you're still kind of doing your own thing. Then
Yeah.
we get to season two, and by the end of season one, Ahsoka appears, and now she's like there, right? And then she's like, "Oh, guess what? Rex is around." And I was like, "Okay, now we're feeling like a sequel to the Clone Wars. Is this gonna be? Is this concerning? Like, are they sort of turning on what the show is going to be?" And it turns out it didn't take away from the Ghost Crew at all,
Yeah, not
or
at all.
turn the direction of the show completely. If anything, it added to it. Ahsoka being brought into the mix and Rex brought on as like another addition to the Ghost really adds a lot. And I feel like Rex doesn't even get the credit he deserves as being like essentially
Yeah.
the seventh member of the crew, because he stays with us from season two, episode three, all the way to the finale. He's there.
Yeah.
Like,
And he
he's
puts
just
Hot Callus in his place. Just saying.
multiple times, multiple
Yeah.
times. So yeah, he's like such a utility player,
Yeah.
and truly doesn't get the credit. You're talking about the connection with Kanan. I'm with you 100% that I think the best relationship that Rex has in the whole show is with Kanan. They're coming from a place of terrible mistrust, right?
Yeah.
Like, Kanan only knows that his master Depa Blaba was shot down by all the clones, and he even says the phrase, I actually rewatched it to make sure I got it right, that they claim they had chips that forced them to do it. So you could tell that he doesn't even really believe it, right? Even he doesn't believe that like the clones couldn't have
But he's got
stopped
the scar.
themselves. Yeah. So then, Rex has to tell him, I didn't turn on my master, which is technically true. He didn't kill Ahsoka, right? He
Yeah,
didn't
because
he didn't turn
Ahsoka was strong enough to know what was going on. They kind of
Yeah.
went back and fixed that, but yeah.
Yeah, exactly. They retcon that a little bit in Siege of Lothal, or
No, but season
Siege of
7 of
Mandalore.
Clone Wars,
Yeah,
yeah.
Siege of Mandalore. So yeah, so that kind of works. But yeah, that relationship takes a minute to build. And
Yeah,
Kanan
Dave.
was already upset about like being part of this larger Rebel alliance, and then we're going to add clones to it. So it
Yeah, so
totally
he's
throws
like
Kanan. Just when Kanan was finding his rhythm on being a Jedi teacher, now he has to deal with the military again, and he's like, "Son of a bitch, I can't get one day."
poor Kanan, he's stressed out.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, okay. With Rex, I feel like, what we call him here in Boston. If you're a Red Sox fan
Mhm.
or anything, you've heard of the term dirt dog. It's a player who grinds it out in the trenches, doesn't always get a lot of recognition, not as like big or flashy as the bigger names like, Ahsoka or Kanan or anything like that, or Luke Skywalker, but things get done because he's there. And
Exactly.
I feel like Rex is that dirt dog, and
Mhm.
um,
At least
the
in Rebels, because in
and
Clone
Rebels,
Wars, he actually
absolutely.
got some top
Yeah,
billing.
he's top billing in that for sure. But with bringing him into Rebels and kind of making him forge that new relationship, like instead of just going back and be like, okay, it's Rex and Ahsoka again, all over again,
Mhm.
and just kind of repeating what you've already done, it allows growth not only for the former, um, Republic clones, but also for the Jedi. Like it's a healing process for both of
Yeah.
them, and
There's closure.
it's
I
closure.
remember the salute? That was a big
Yeah.
deal. That was at
Oh.
the end of, I have that in my
Oh.
list. Season 2, episode 9, Stealth Strike. So that's the episode
Yes.
where, so again, in episode 9, so from episode 3 to episode 9, they still don't really get along, and yeah,
Yeah.
reluctant bromance, that too.
So
Although I kinda hate that phrase, but, like,
and
I understand what
another
you're saying.
so in another geek group that I do moderating for, they're doing a Valentine's Day themed event, and one of the questions was, "What's your favorite bromance in pop culture?" Kanan and Rex should have totally been on there. We didn't even think of it. So John, we're
But Han and
slipping.
Lando is your or so the thing is, if you have to pick one from every fandom, it's like
Or
Han
Han and
Han
Chewie,
and
but it was
Lando.
just like your favorite
Yeah,
ones. Like I picked
yeah.
Bill and Ted and Joey and Chandler
Oh, Bill and
because
Ted are great because, like, they really are, like, the bestest of friends. They wouldn't
yeah.
even know if they were dating or married. Like, they're just So
Well, they
doofy.
went to couples therapy with their wives together. So,
Yeah,
just
it's
saying.
a lot. Um, but yeah,
Yeah.
I think the Kanan Rex dynamic works so well because throughout season two,
Yeah.
it's uneasy, and then you get to Stealth Strike, and they're in stormtrooper armor together, all of them. Which the
Love that
metaphors are
episode.
so heavy-handed sometimes, but like because they all lost the war. The Jedi lost, the clones lost, the Empire won, and
Yeah.
Rex like sort of sacrifices himself and gets captured to like let Kanan and everyone else escape. But then when they're reunited, you know. Um, things work out and they
Yeah.
understand each other and they trust each other and they salute and it's very nice. It doesn't quite meet like the hug that Ahsoka and Rex share at the end of Relics of the Old
Yeah.
Republic. Like that's still like the moment. It's like all right, Rex and Ahsoka hug. And he's like, "I'm glad you're alive," which is like so bleak when you say that. Like, can you imagine if the
Yeah.
next time I see you is like, "Hey, glad you're alive." Like that feels so bleak.
I know. And like all things considered, when we last see them in season 7 of Clone Wars, it is a very, very bleak time for them.
Yeah.
So this is just kind of like again, it's obviously retconning a little bit and just a little bit of hindsight is 2020, but they totally yeah,
Mhm.
thanks, Jeff. Um, they totally I like that they make it more about Kanan and Rex than Ahsoka and Rex because it's so
Yeah.
easy to fall back into the past and do that. And my favorite episode is when they go to Geonosis.
Yes. Ghost of
And
Geonosis
Ghost of
is.
Geonosis is amazing for Rex and Kanan because they do little things. It's kind of like when you have again when you have that animosity where you're like frenemies and stuff like that, and
Mhm.
you're kind of sniping each other a little bit. And like, oh, I forgot they can do that when Kanan does the crazy Jedi jump. It's
Mhm.
like, but it's like fun little things like that. But it's like the banter is there, and it's hopeful, even though
Yeah. They're
they
in a
don't know what they're
completely
chasing.
different place by that point
Yeah.
because when they meet in the beginning of season two, not only do they not like each other, like Kanan straight up like doesn't even want to talk to him, doesn't want to trust
Mhm.
him,
Nope.
doesn't it's not even though Ahsoka's the one being like, no, he's fine. He's like, I don't know you either, lady. Like there's no reason, even though you're a Jedi, doesn't mean I can trust you.
Yeah,
So
Ahsoka, that part of Ahsoka just kind of ran me the wrong way because it's like, okay, well, you were around for that. You saw what Order 66 did to people,
mhm,
and you're completely glossing over Kanan's trauma.
yeah.
You're like, oh no, he's fine. He's not that person. Like, you could, it's like, okay,
Yeah,
be
it's
a
not
little
good
more
enough.
sympathetic. Understand that people can be triggered and
Yeah,
be a little more
exactly.
sympathetic.
Hicks is needing a lot of attention over here. That's why I keep
I
leaning to the
know.
right.
Ahsoka keeps
Um,
clawing my elbow. I'm like,
yeah.
eh.
I know. It's an hour a week, baby boy. Um, and so the rest of season two, though, I think like Rex losing Ahsoka obviously hit
Yeah.
really hard after Twilight, but they don't talk a ton about it in the beginning of season three. It's almost like, okay,
Yeah.
that happened. And I'm thinking, I wish we had a little bit more of that in the beginning of season three. I think his more interesting season three moments, though, like episode six, the last battle, which is the one where remember where they do up the logo in the Clone Wars style and yellow and everything. So this is
Yeah.
supposedly like the last battle of the Clone Wars. They end
Yeah.
up on this planet. And they run into a super tactical droid named Kalani, and apparently he thought the end of the war was like a trick from the Republic, so they overrode the orders shutting down the
Yeah.
battle droids, and so his mission is to still win the Clone Wars. So Kanan, Ezra, and Rex all have to team up against this battle droid to like win
Trauma.
the Clone Wars. Which I gotta
Trauma.
tell you, when I heard that, I was like, one, what are we doing here? Because this actually feels like it belongs in season two.
Yeah.
Because season two is very much like tying up the Clone Wars. So I
Yeah.
don't know what happened that this episode just like um, popped into the middle of then in the middle, the like early part of season three. But it was really fun. I don't know why I had so much fun with that episode. It's so stupid.
Yeah.
And it doesn't really serve a larger thing to the plot. I feel like it was just like someone
Um,
really wanted to just like do some fan service in season three.
yeah, maybe a little bit of that, honestly, but I feel like okay, again with the trauma between the three of them. So
Mhm.
you not only have the Jedi running from these separatist clones, but you also have um Rex like being triggered by it as well. So it's just
Yeah.
a whole lot of unresolved trauma and How do we get over it? How do we change this? So it's therapy for Star Wars, kids.
Yeah. Oh my God. There needs to be a therapist would make a fortune in Star Wars. They need so many.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I do want to address in some of the comments. They're talking about the bromances. Maverick and Iceman crack me up in a way that like do gay people watch this movie
Love.
differently than straight guys? Because like it's the gayest movie I've ever seen without there actually being gay people in it. Like it's just so insane how homoerotic that movie is. And there are times when I'm like, am I hallucinating this, or
Uh, that movie
is
started
this
my
really
crush on
happening?
Val Kilmer.
Oh, he's super hot in that movie. I mean,
So
Val
hot.
Kilmer at his peak is
For a
just
man named Iceman, he was so
yeah.
hot.
Yeah. And I gotta be honest, like Anthony Edwards could get it too. Like that whole crew, like the whole cast is like really
That
good
was one of the
looking. But
coolest things I got to do in San Diego, though, is to go to Kansas
oh,
City
the bar?
Barbecue and play.
Yes.
I played the piano, and because me and my dad, it was like the first thing that we watched together when I
Mm,
was 3.5. It was on
mm,
HBO, and like he had just passed away, and I went there and I just cried, like taking pictures of everything. I got to the locals were buying me drinks. It was amazing. So
mhm.
it was a nice little hole in the wall bar. So go to Kansas City
Yeah.
Barbecue if you're in San
It's
Diego.
not far from the convention
It's
center. I
right
was
across the
there.
street. It's a tiny, tiny
Yeah.
little like one level shack. It's
Very
gorgeous.
small.
Very
And so
small.
I went there in full Top Gun gear, by the way. Or not
Yes,
gear. I mean, I
sir.
had my hat and my sunglasses. I'll dig
Yeah.
up the pictures. But it was very cute. The owners are really nice. The
Yeah.
waitress was super nice. I ordered like, of course, I was there for work, so I have like, I get to. Oh, baby boy, you're falling. Um,
Don't fall,
charge
Hixie.
my dinner and whatever else. But I brought home like a dessert, and I took a ton of pictures in the
Oh, I
bar, and I
bought
had my sunglasses
T-shirts.
on. Yeah,
Yeah.
I got some merch too.
Yeah.
I did it up. But it is exactly what you'd hope it'd be because it is divey. It is just and it's tiny. Like
Great
it is a
Balls of
small
Fire. Love
bar.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely on a must do if you're going to San Diego.
Mhm. Yeah.
All right, let's see. Let's continue with Rex. So season 3, the last battle is I don't think we've watched it yet on our channel. I don't think we have. I have to double
No,
check, but
I don't think we have
um
either.
it is a stupid fun episode of, of Rebels, and it feels like the Clone Wars all over again. And
Yeah.
the three of them together are just are funny, and it works. It shouldn't work, but it does. Which I think is a lot of Rebels sometimes. And then, as you mentioned, episodes 12 and 13 goes to Geonosis. That is the mid-season premiere, and this would be after we had already seen Rogue One. That was the intention of like giving
Mhm.
us Saw Gerrera
Yep.
episodes at this point. And so in this one, they go to Geonosis and they're trying to find Saw Gerrera. And of course, Rex knows who Saw Gerrera is because like Saw Gerrera is from the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
So we're getting this great
Absolutely.
connection there. But all that time they spend in the tunnels together with like Kanan and everything is very cool.
Yeah, and we got Saw grieving the loss of his sisters, Sela, and um, just try to get to the bottom of the things, find out where the entire attachment has gone, um, where are all the bugs gone. The
Mhm.
Empire is like killing everybody like indiscriminately in this. Um, Sabine and Zeb have to steal like shields in a storm, a sandstorm. It's crazy. It's just a chaotic episode, a series of episodes,
Mhm.
and
High
honestly,
chaos as always with
high
Rebels.
chaos.
There's a
Absolutely,
lot of
all the time.
heisting and a lot of knocked unconscious
Yeah.
and a lot of betrayal and a lot of Ezra thinking we can trust him. And then it's like Saw Gerrera,
And a
Hondo,
lot of
you know,
animal reaching out too.
yeah, there's a lot of that.
A lot of bugs.
Which oh my, the bugs made me crazy. I remember the first time I was watching that episode. Matthew Wood does the voice of Click Clack and
Ah,
whoever
click
else,
clack.
and I was like, kill these bugs. Like I really had it with all of them. But then by the end, you feel very sympathetic for the
Like
bugs.
saving the egg. And all his people
Yeah,
are gone and he's got just the one
yeah.
egg. It's like,
And I was like, oh, I know. And I'm like,
oh.
and then you feel bad, and I'm like, okay. And it wasn't really the
Damn it,
Geonosian's fault.
Filoni, you and your
Yeah.
animal things. Oh. No, it's all good.
We should
Oh,
keep going.
the
I'm not
three
sure this will
amigos
play.
tricked out ATT.
Baby boy, do you want to be on camera? There you go.
Absolutely. Oh my god. I loved that one. It was so cool.
I'm tilting
Hi,
the camera and
Hixie.
it's not working. He's just not.
He's like,
Um,
no, no,
yeah,
I'm too good for this stream. I'm gonna
yeah,
sit
that's
here and
fine.
distract you, but I'm not gonna do anything.
You're no help. This is like when
Um,
I'm working out in here. I call him my personal trainer because he watches or he jumps on top of
kitty
me.
cam.
So is no help whatsoever. Yes.
Yeah. But the thing I like the most about Rex is um how, like, even when Callus is pulled in the group and it's revealed that Callus is Fulcrum now, he also has, oh, hi Hixie, big kitty butt. You're so cute. He's a chonker. Oh my
He's
goodness.
so big. He's too much. Continue.
He's like a scarf. No, and he's kind of letting Callus know that he's trusted, but not entirely. Like, just kind of like, okay, I'm watching you. When, especially when Callus is like, I've tasted this shit for years, and now I can't believe I'm flying it. And he's like, well, you're not. I am, but
Exactly. That's a great moment because Callus is very much put in his place too. It's like just
yeah,
because he used to fly, what does he say? I used to fly Star Destroyers, and it's like, yeah, and that's why you're not flying this ship.
yeah.
So,
It's like,
yeah.
nice. Aw,
Which
kitty
interestingly,
toes.
like if Rex had stayed with the Republic Army, he might have been. I realize all the clones were decommissioned, but there were some who became like special types of troopers, maybe
Yeah,
even moved their way into like the officers program. You could imagine someone like Rex actually becoming like a Yularen or something, right? Like you could
yeah.
imagine that
Oh my
happening.
god, or Constantine,
Yeah.
or something like that. Um,
Baby boy, you're being
uh,
too much.
yeah.
Okay, I gotta put you
Um,
down.
I honestly think that the ability for now Hera didn't struggle with Rex as much as Kanan did. Hera liked his military mindset. Um, she trusted Ahsoka Fulcrum,
Mhm.
and she put her full faith behind Rex. Um, everything that he worked with her and Commander Sato about and making plans for the rebellion um, had led Hera to trust him immediately.
Yeah.
I feel like the only one
He
that
had the
really
Ahsoka stamp of approval, which
absolutely,
meant he had Bail's stamp of approval. So
yeah,
it's a sort of like transitive sort of property there.
exactly. So
Yeah.
I think that allowed um, Kanan to also relax a little bit because it's like, okay, well,
Mhm.
Hera trusts him too.
Mhm.
So it's just I'm
Yeah.
still weary, but I'm not going to be such a stick in the mud about it. Um, that
Well,
was
as Ezra says in the beginning, so Can Rex tells Ezra about Anakin in the season 2 episodes, episodes 3 and 4, The Lost Commanders and Relics of the Republic. He's talking about Anakin and what a great master he was and all this stuff. And so he's bonding with Ezra, and then Ezra's talking to Kanan and says, like, "I really think we can trust Rex." And I had a moment in my head where I was like, "You thought we could trust Hondo? You thought we could trust Maul? You thought we could trust this person? Like,
kid,
your
your
track
track record,
record
it's
is
so
like
bad.
not great."
Gall
Um,
Travis, hello.
yeah, there's a bunch of them. So my feeling from there, if I were Kanan, I immediately zapped to all of that being like, "You're not the barometer I'm gonna use." And it's because he's like a little bit on the naive side, you know?
Yeah,
Ezra wants to trust everyone, which I appreciate. He's got the light, like
yeah.
the light side of the force like flows through him. So
But
he's
for
like,
someone who was
you
like
know,
orphaned and had to struggle to survive on his own, he's awful trusting of everybody. So it's like,
yeah, I think he also is a little bit naive because like he's like,
yeah.
yeah, I can trust them, and also if things do go sideways, don't worry, I could take him in a fight. I actually don't know if Ezra could really take Rex. Like Rex has so
Uh-uh.
much training, like
Sorry.
despite the fact that Ezra's a Padawan, like and has the Force and everything. Like if Rex got the jump on him, like Rex could pound him. I think.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
easily. Old soldiers never forget their training, so
yeah, exactly.
it's you'd go down hard. Um, another favorite team up that I had of Rex's was Rex and oh god, I'm blanking on the name. Why am I blanking on the name? Oh my god, is it Ryder Azadi? So having all of them kind of splinter off into these little groups to fight and to map out the strategy and Chopper Base and protect it from the Empire. That was really cool. Um, also, like when they went through, oh god, I'm trying to remember exactly what happened there. It'll come back to me. I was on a
Yeah,
track
it's
and
all
I
in
just
season 4 when they're
yeah,
trying to take
season
back Lothal.
right.
Um, and things actually go well, which, for a moment, we're not sure if that's what's going to happen. But
Yeah.
uh, yeah, they made a good team. The former governor, Mr. Rosati, over there, and who becomes governor once again, the once and future governor. Um,
Along with yeah, little street urchin that we rescued
mhm.
from the Imperial Academy. Um, so my hope is and I know we've talked about Ahsoka being Rebels season 5, is that we'll see older Rex come
Yeah,
about in
post
season
Return
2.
of the Jedi, you know.
But yeah, I mean, we saw him briefly in Ahsoka season 1.
Mhm.
Him. Tamara Morrison came back for the voice. That was really cool. But having him back for this um, would be really, really awesome. And I'd probably freak out and cry.
Yeah, I would like to see more of him. I don't know if like the Ahsoka show is exactly the right venue. I'm unsure. I think in
Yeah,
theory, like, shouldn't we see him in the Bad Batch in season 3?
we are
Shouldn't he
going
pop
to.
in?
We're going
So
to.
that should happen. Yeah.
I'm excited
Um,
for that too.
yeah,
I
we
think
got to see Cody,
Rex
Rex,
was
Wolf,
important being
Gregor.
underground with
Yep.
getting the Bad Batch their connections where they needed outside of Sid, because Sid obviously can't be trusted. Rex is integral to keeping the Bad Batch on top of the situation with what's going on with the Empire and all the stuff that is going on underground with both the Senate being taken over by
Hmm.
Palpatine and everything. It's a dark time to be a clone.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, for sure.
yeah,
It's got to be really tough. And look, we do know a little bit about what happens to Rex going forward because in the coda to Rebels, Sabine doing the voiceover says that he was at the Battle of Endor, which, as we
yeah,
know, is featured in Return of the Jedi, and they've sort of retconned that one older looking soldier who like kind of looks like Rex, and then the internet decided it was Rex. I guess Lucasfilm has sort of canonized that. But
yeah,
either way, I kind of don't know what else he's gotten around to. Obviously, the thing that happened in Ahsoka was like flashbacky slash World Between Worlds kind of stuff.
yeah,
So we don't really know where he is, but we do know that some clones are alive in time periods around there. So I would like to see him. I would like to have. Obviously, we're going to see him in Bad Batch season 3, which I think will be great. Um,
yeah.
and we know he has to live through it because Bad Batch is chronologically before Rebels and before Return of the Jedi. But I would like to see where he ends up, and if there isn't, and when Ahsoka season 2 comes out, if there is an opportunity to bring in Captain Rex, I would love to see it because
Now, did Fulcrum exist before Ahsoka?
yes, it was
Yes.
Bale.
Okay.
Bale and I forget who else, but I want to say Bale was the first one.
But the fact that
Working
it's
as an
Ahsoka's symbol that they use for Fulcrum is kind of like,
it is
yeah,
strange.
yeah.
Um, yeah, I don't remember how that all came to be.
He became
I think
Santa at the
also
Coruscant Mall.
what happens is, so much of it happened in books, and as we know, books are becoming, I don't want to say decanonized, but like things are changing. We're getting
Cherry
conflicts.
picked. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, as I was doing my research, I pulled up the Wikipedia, which is my number one go-to for everything and anything, right?
Mhm.
And there's a whole section at the bottom for Captain Rex's biography that's like conflicts, and it's like not conflicts that he's faced, it's like just like things that are different in the various pieces of canon, so things that don't line up completely. So on a character like him where he's in a ton of content, it's easy to have things that don't line up. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I feel like something that tends to happen a lot with Star Wars characters, unless
Yeah.
they're the main character, like the actual main character, the through line, like the thread
Mhm.
between their journey, their story arcs are kind of uneven
Yeah.
and a lot of holes in it. So,
Or a book contradicts this other thing because no one's paying as close attention, you
mhm.
know. Sarah, I will say I think oh wait, Lanny was asking the question. Was it called Fulcrum when it was Bale? Ooh, I have to double check because I feel like in the Ahsoka novel, she gets the code name Fulcrum from Bale, but I'd have
Y-
to check. Um,
yeah, it's weird.
hmm,
Like
I
she
gotta
kind
see.
of gets recruited by him, and they have it in Tales of the Jedi too when she shows up at Padme's funeral and she meets with Bail, and
Yeah,
he offers her the opportunity to work with him.
yeah,
So, um, I feel like Bail was in charge of it, like in charge of these agents, but Ahsoka was the first, and that's probably why it's her symbol.
it's possible.
Yeah.
Um, I couldn't tell you. There was another
Well,
question a little
you
bit
gotta look it
earlier as
up.
to what our favorite quotes were from Rex. The
Oh,
only one that comes to mind that I always think about, and I had to Google to see if it popped in the list, in my book, experience outranks everything. And I feel like that would be his calling card. Like that would literally be on his business card if he had one, right? Like
right.
experience outranks everything.
Yeah,
So I think that sums up Rex too, because we experience him everywhere now in Star
yeah.
Wars. He wasn't in the original trilogy, obviously, but since then, and he wasn't even in the prequels. Clones were, but like he wasn't. But the Clone Wars is all about him. Like it's him and Ahsoka. I remember when Filoni was talking about season 7, he was like, "We have to give a fitting end to Ahsoka and Rex." He didn't say to the Clone Wars and to the time period of the prequels. Like we've already decided what happened to Anakin and Padme and Obi-Wan and everyone else. He was like, Ahsoka and Rex need their finales.
Yes, absolutely. And you know, they had their story. They continued in the movies. This was, the way that their friendship, I don't want to say ended, but it was the end of that
Mhm.
arc.
It was certainly an end. I mean,
Yeah.
when they crash down at the end of Siege of Mandalore, and they have to, and Ahsoka goes her own way, and Rex leaves, like, it's so hopeless and so bleak. And we know there's more to come, right? We know they're
Yeah.
reconnecting in Rebels, like, because season 7 of Clone Wars aired after Rebels had already completed. Um, But imagine we watch that in chronological order and you don't know, like, where
Yeah.
that's headed.
Yeah.
Like, that's just oh, it's like a knife to the gut. These
Oh,
2 have been really through it. Captain Rex has been through some of the worst of it too, like, the
yeah.
chip being implanted in him and him knowing it's happening, but unable to do anything about it and trying to, like, resist it because he's heard inklings from in season 6 where, like, who was it? Was it Fives who had the chip removed or was
Yeah.
having, and the other
Fives.
clone who
Yep.
had the hallucinations and shot that Jedi. Like, there's so much like baked in trauma. It's wild. The fact that any of them are still standing is like an actual miracle.
Yeah, absolutely. Uh, John says during those last Clone Wars episodes, when Ahsoka returns, Anakin and Obi Wan think they're being contacted by Saw when they're told they have a message from Fulcrum. So someone was using it before then.
Mhm.
Hmm.
I think the code name was used by a bunch of people, including Cassian Andor.
Yeah.
So they were, and that's why. Remember when before the Andor show came out, I thought it was going to be called
By the way,
Fulcrum.
we forgot to mention that Andor season 2 is finished filming.
Yes, it did just complete filming, which probably means principal photography.
Yeah.
I'm sure they'll go back for reshoots. There's always something or little
Yeah.
scenes they missed, additional voiceover work, post production has to happen. That show's definitely coming in 25. It
Yeah.
is not coming in 24. We also got confirmation that the Mando and Grogu movie is coming in
2026.
26,
Yeah.
which seems insane to me because that means that like is Daisy Ridley's movie coming in 27? And then what about the Dawn of the New Jedi 28? And then what about the other movie, the end of the Mandoverse 29? Are we talking about 2029? Like this is insanity.
But when you think about that, like 5 years went by so fast.
It
So
yeah. At the same time though, like I 2029. That's 10 years after the last Star Wars movie was out. I
it's
don't even.
15 years after she first took up the mantle, so they're not kidding.
Yeah,
Yeah, you have a thing. Um, let's see.
yeah.
That's
And
like
these phases are
MCU-based
getting worse and
timelines.
worse, Lonnie.
I
Um,
know.
I look. Here's the thing with Marvel this year. There's one movie. It's Deadpool and Wolverine, and it will be the highest grossing movie of the year by far, without a doubt. No one's going to touch that movie.
Everyone's
In term,
talking about it. Yeah,
yeah,
it's silly.
it's
It's crazy.
baked in to make $1 billion domestic and another billion worldwide. Like it will break records. And if it doesn't, something's gone terribly wrong. Like unless it's a god awful movie and we're all told to stay home on like day 2 because it leaks early or something. Like there's no way it isn't going to break every record because there'll be repeat viewings too. And this will actually be there's your bromance date. All the straight guys who are friends with each other who like need to go out and hang out but don't know what to do, they're going to go see that movie.
Oh, easily.
And there will
They
be
did it
women
the
who want to
first
see
2.
this movie too.
Yeah. Me.
So, and there are plenty of, aside from women who are super interested in the fandom, of which there are many, there will also be a lot of like reluctant girlfriends going to see it because they're fine to go with their boyfriend on whatever date to
Oh,
see
yeah.
like a movie that has at least Hugh Jackman or Ryan Reynolds in it. Like that's good enough. Um, but like Yeah, you're right, Sarah. You should bet against me. So Moana for the win. I am rarely right. Um,
Excuse me.
yeah. So I don't know. Actually, I think now would be a good time for everyone to talk about what they think the highest grossing movies of the year are going to be, because I do think it's going to be uh, Wolverine and Deadpool.
I
But
think Dune's gonna be good because there's
I'm
that
excited
chunk,
about Dune. I really
the
am.
chunk of Star Wars fans that really read Frank Herbert's books and learned to love it before Star Wars came out. And these are like the jumping on point for science fiction for so many people.
Yep.
And a lot of people who did miss the miniseries in the 80s and missed the books, like myself, watching Dune for the first time and really loving those characters and loving that story and Denis Villeneuve's stunning, work and directing it. I'm really excited. And also like Austin Butler, like geez, that guy looks scary as hell
Mhm.
in this movie. Um, so I'm
My
really
only
excited.
thought about Dune is that it's rated R. It's weird. It's super weird, as we said, and it's a part two. And
Rated
the
R,
first
super
one was
weird.
in the theaters. Yeah,
See?
which is
Hi.
my look. Like I gotta say, that's my target.
Yeah,
Um, oh yeah, and Lana, you're 100% right. There are lots of
absolutely.
women who are interested in these comics,
It's me.
especially for X-Men. I was reading a really interesting stat that among um, I forget what it was. They were talking about all the books and the like index to men, women, whatever. X-Men always does well with a female audience. And that makes sense
Yes.
because the team is very mixed in terms of
Yeah.
representation of all types, right? So there's
That is
obviously
why
that
I
built
grew up
in.
loving X-Men
Yeah,
and the broad spectrum of characters,
yeah.
different races, different species, everything. It's
And
fantastic.
good analogies. A little heavy-handed now as
Yes.
adults watching it back, but like I think it's as kids, you're like, oh right, they're talking about racism and discrimination. Like this seems
Yeah.
very obvious. But yeah,
Yep.
I think the reason Deadpool and I keep saying Deadpool and Wolverine will win is because it hits every demo. The fanboys, the fangirls, the reluctant girlfriends who will go with the fanboys, the guys who want to have like date night with their bros, like and
Yeah.
then just like casual observers. Like I think it's got such a
It's gonna be
like
bigger than,
the
and then
widest audience like
Wolverine is
possible.
back, and not only
Yeah,
that, a comics
everyone loves Hugh
accurate
Jackman. Yeah,
costume.
I
Like,
know, it's
Hugh
crazy.
said he would never don the claws again, and he's back. So,
Yep.
this is for a good reason.
Yep. The real odds you have to start talking about, because like how many times will Deadpool try to make out with Wolverine in the movie? Because that's going to have to be a running gag, right?
Oh my
So,
god.
like,
Yeah.
I mean, there's so much already. They had mentioned pegging in the trailer, in the teaser, so we know what we're getting
And
with
now
this
we know why
movie.
they didn't air it on the Super Bowl.
Yeah, it's like go online and check this out.
Go online and watch
Um,
this. It's
By the way,
bad.
I didn't realize this until after the fact, but Nickelodeon aired a simulcast of the Super Bowl that was kid friendly, and it was a whole SpongeBob overlay and
So,
everything, and it was
they
very,
had
very
Tom
cute.
Kenny and Bill Fagerbakke in the booth in mocap suits,
Yeah,
and they had a green screen behind them, and it was SpongeBob and Patrick in the
it was
booth. It was
amazing. They were
amazing.
so funny. Yeah, I watched a
And
whole bunch
Sweet
of it because that's
Victory.
one of
Sweet
my
Victory.
licenses. Yeah, it's very
Loved
cute.
it. Loved
Um,
it so much.
yeah.
Those guys were
Well,
amazing.
I think this takes us to the end of our Captain Rex discussion. I think you guys could tell we're big fans of Rex, and I
Yeah.
hope we see him more of him in some future content. But let's talk a little bit about what's
Please.
coming onto the network this week. So obviously tomorrow we've got Happy Hour like we do every Tuesday. Wednesday we've got a new episode of the Nerf Herders, and those boys are going
Yeah.
to be talking all things Bad Batch, getting ready for the premiere, which is 9 days away, which is crazy.
Yeah.
It's so soon.
Ah.
I
So we
know.
get like a triple premiere. So this will
Yeah,
be
it's one
interesting.
3 episodes, so it'll feel like a movie, which is great. And then Thursday is the VCN watch along with the episode 6 of Ahsoka, and then on Sunday we've got a new episode of the Jedi Archives.
Yeah. With Bryce and Mike and
I
um
believe we're on episode part 7
no,
for
episode 7. Watch along.
Wait, we're
Yeah,
on
for
that's right.
episode 7 of Ahsoka already?
Yeah.
yeah.
Oof! Oh my god, I can't believe we're almost. Oh, that's right, because
Trucking
next
along.
week will be the final week,
Yep.
and then we get into Bad Batch. Yeah,
Indeed.
the
Yeah.
timing was almost perfect. It was so close,
Oh yeah.
so close.
Pretty close.
Yes.
Yeah.
Lonnie
And then of
nails it.
course we turn over to Ahsoka, from Ahsoka watch along to um the what's it called, the watch along for Bad Batch. Yep, right on, Lonnie. Uh yeah, so be on the lookout for our Bad Batch watch-alongs every Thursday, and of course, coming soon, the Bad Batch after show, which is
Yeah.
very, very exciting. So yeah, this is the watch-along calendar. So as you can see, like, or I'm sorry, this is the episode air date calendar. No, this is the watch-along
No,
calendar.
it's a
So
watch along.
Thursdays,
Yep.
yeah. So the first one we're doing is Thursday, February 29th, Leap Day. How exciting! You're getting an extra
Yay.
day in the year, and it looks like an extra episode for us to watch. So episodes 1, 2, and 3, and then we'll do 4 and 5 the following week, and we'll catch back up, and we're
Yeah,
right on.
we're butting up the first bunch because
Yeah.
we missed the first
Yeah, the first week.
week, and then they start to kind of snowball, and they put 2 episodes together in a few weird spots. So we'll do a bunch of double, triple episodes for a few weeks, and
Yeah,
then
it makes
slow it
sense
down.
because it's like the mid-season premiere, that kind of crap, or probably a two-parter that makes sense. I think when they bring in Asajj Ventress, they'll have to give us like a two-parter, is my thought. Like,
Oh yeah.
yeah. So
Oh
we'll be
yeah.
celebrating, and I'm very excited about the after show. If you guys enjoyed the Ahsoka after show with Mike, Bryce, and John, they're back for the Bad Batch after show, so that's going to be a good time. That'll be happening
Yeah.
on Fridays. So we're in Bad Batch countdown mode over here, guys.
I'm excited. I'm nervous. I am sad. I'm hopeful. I
It's gonna be
just
really
all of the
good.
things. Yeah. Am I gonna need therapy after this? I don't know.
Probably. Yeah. I mean, yeah, we're already in it. So, we'll just
We're
tack on new
invested.
stuff.
We're
So, all
invested.
right. Well, thank you everyone for joining us tonight. And don't forget to tune back in with us next week. We have a watch along. I don't remember the episode, but we'll be watching something, and we'll use the first half of the show to talk all
Yeah.
things pop culture. Oh, it's Homecoming, season 2, episode 16, Homecoming.
Yes. And also don't forget to go to our TeePublic shop on TeePublic and check out our merchandise,
The shirts.
including that awesome Rebels Pride tank top that Mark is
Mhm.
sporting right now,
Summer.
as well as Daughters of the Galaxy stuff, watch along, getting ready for the family vacation, nobody's ever really gone collection, the Freaky Four shit, y'all, that Jamie came up with, and also Huyang is for the younglings. Damn. Family vacation. How many spots we got left? Last I checked, it was 25. Almost completely sold out. So make sure if you're going on that, you get those tickets quickly. Big things coming. Big things.
Yep. It's going to be a fun few weeks here on the network. So be sure to follow us on all our social
Yeah.
channels, and we'll see most of you guys hopefully tomorrow night for happy hour. All right, stay
Yeah.
safe with the weather, with the blizzards and everyone.
Yes. Stay
on the
warm,
East
stay
Coast.
toasty, stay off
Yeah.
the roads.
Yep. All right, and have a good night, everyone. May the force be with you.
May the force be with you. Bye.